Alright, welcome back to the remove the radiator segment of the 2010 Dodge Ram. Now, I want to say this series is probably going to cover 2010 through 19. We haven't seen any of the 20, 21, 22, 23s come in yet with radiator problems. But one thing with the Dodges, the radiators are good, but there's a point to where they split on the end seal, leak at the bottom core, or in this case, get plugged up. I'm going to zoom in so you can actually see what I think is going on there, but you see that white line? I'll put an arrow on it now. Well, right there is what this radiator fluid does, is it crystallizes. And even though this truck's had meticulous maintenance done to it on the cooling side, doesn't matter, heat cycles, our seasons up here, like this year, we've had a lot of cars break down, just weird things breaking. Radiators just get clogged. That is simple. If it doesn't leak and it's not cooling right, just replace it. They're not expensive. It's not like the old days. You know, it used to be to get a copper core done, it's $400 or $500. You can get a new aluminum radiator for about $100 to $200. Doesn't make sense to fight it. It costs you more in coolant trying to backflush these things, and you really can't. When I get this one out and I'll show you the new one, you'll see that the fin count, or at least the primary cores, and that we're talking about, that runs side to side, the little core gets clogged up and you're not getting anything passed through. So it may feel like you're still passing heat, but as much power these engines produce, as much heat as they make, it's not enough, and you start seeing 225, 230 degrees, even though fans are running. It's not a good thing. It's how you cook these things. You'll blow up head gaskets, you know, you start dropping lifters, start cooking oil. Like, it's not a good thing. Alright, let's get started. On the Dodges, you have a couple things. For packaging, they like to put the AC condenser and the radiator kind of together as one. I mean, it is designed to be serviceable to a point, but as I'm going to show you right now, this part right here is clipped in, holding the AC condenser in. So pretty much radiator's got to come this way, the condenser's got to go that way, and then it's got to go up and out. That's pretty much it. About looks like about either 2 or 4 bolts. I've counted a couple so far, but it's the ones you can't see or can't get at that are usually the ones that are problematic. And I'm pretty sure this grill's going to be coming off to get to a couple of them. Alright, well, let's get started. Get the reserve hose out of the way first. Alright, first one to get off is going to be the one for the reserve. Probably going to leave the lower radiator hose on because there's really no need to take it off. I already got it disconnected from the water pump. We got a couple things clipped in here. See if we can get that off gently without breaking it. A lot of plastic parts. A lot easier to come off the second time. I hope he didn't spill any fluid, because I might see a potential leak. And up here in our state, this kind of leak's not good. So I hope that's antifreeze spilled right there, but it looks like you might actually have a cooler leak going on there. Yeah, this is one of those models where the tranny cooler and AC are one. Yeah, because there's the cooler lines for the tranny. Then they come up to here, feed through, and then come back cold. Yeah, let's see if that's on the other side there. And I'll have to find out and get that apart. Okay, so why do we have to take off this grill? Got to get this bolt out of the way. I think I could squeeze by and get that bolt out of the way, but those two bolts have to get out of the way because it's holding this whole thing in. And then there's a bolt here, and I would have to imagine there would be a bolt on the bottom. Extension train. That was not fun to get out the first time. All this trouble for one frickin' bolt. Yeah, this was brand new. Looks like we got a little bit of dirt or carbon. Okay, now that's out. We got a straight shot to that bolt. That bolt right there. Okay, so far that one's out. That one's out. If I remember, I just saw one right here holding the cooler assembly to the side of the radiator. Alright, make sure you keep all your fasteners in a nifty location. Okay. So that should take care of that one. Now it should take care of that one. There's another one you can't see here. It's right on the side. Right there. There's one in there. I'm going to have to take that out by hand. Looks like got a little rusty rust going on there. So I'll be back with you. Alright, after we remove this bolt here, which looks like these bolts here, you can see we got it moving around. Want to make sure that we're all disconnected from all the coolers, especially on this side where most of the action happens. And to me, it looks like we got a bunch of perches we run into. Very good. Pretty typical Dodge. So we just got to make sure as we're pulling this out, that we get this unhinged. Because it looks like we're almost there. Okay. Looks like she got a little bit of fur ball down there. Alright, we're going to try to pull this up and out. Always being mindful and being gentle. Okay, we're out there. We're out here, except kind of being hung up a little bit. Alright, excuse the noise in the background, that's just my wintertime heater running. So here's obviously the OEM, and I don't know, one thing that the camera can pick up very well is that the core count, there's obviously more rows on the OEM than there is the aftermarket. But what you get with the aftermarket, you get a more open row core, whatever you want to call it, and wider fins. You're going to dissipate the same amount of heat, but the difference is this one will clog up on you well before this one will. This one will probably eat a core out on the side on where the seal goes before you'll clog. The other thing the aftermarket does a little better They give you an actual handle. You can just take a simple pair of pliers and turn. Though I've seen people snap these, so that's how you can tell if you got a Murray in one of your units if you buy one of these used trucks. Come over here, you got the old Allen key. Yeah, this one is definitely starting to get a little soft on the bottom. I've seen these so bad with the Mopars that you can literally take your hand and get rubbed down in the face, it'll just peel off. I can tell you for a fact our top core was definitely crunched. That would have to be someone leaning over to work on it. But yeah, anytime that you inhibit airflow, you inhibit efficiency. Now, one thing I was trying to explain to you, it'll probably make more sense why sometimes it'll seem like you got a bad fan clutch when you really don't. The fan clutch has to be able to see the entire heat range of this radiator. So if you see only like 170 here, you know, 140 here because it's clogged, 130 here, you're not going to get 160, 170 degrees of air temp this way to lock up the fan clutch to cool down the radiator. And that's where you'll start getting the 225 degree range. If you got a bad head gasket, I don't care what kind of radiator you got at it, you got a bad head gasket. But if you got an efficiency problem, okay, that's because your radiator is probably clogged. If you mix coolants, if you mix pink with green, I've seen a couple people online that have mixed green with pink, and then they pull off their thermostat housing, all of a sudden it's cake inside. Well, you know what that cake is? 2 different coolants. You know, at least with one type of coolant not mixed, you just got a little bit of this pink stuff going on. Okay, but it's not as bad as trying to mix coolants. Oh, this thing's starting to come apart on the inside. We got junk on the inside here. Alright, well, other than that, don't really have too many parts to transfer over. You do have to transfer over your mounting bushings. So these just come out, so you just put them on your new unit. And other than that, just drop in replacement. I'll put an arrow up now, but that right there has to slide in when you slide this thing back, so there's 2 of them. Easier one to see is this one here. So those 2 got to get slid before you can permanently mount this thing. Otherwise, if you don't, this thing's going to shake around, your bolts aren't going to line up, it's just not going to be pretty. Okay, I have to do that part off camera, but I'll be back with you when I get her perched in. Okay, it took me a little bit of finessing, but this has to sit in the perch. This bottom one sits, kind of hard to tell with the camera, but it sits above the perch. There's another hole for it. Once you get it lined up, you should be able to get that bolt in, and then all your other bolts should start lining up. I do not know what that one's for. There's an extra hole here, but there's nothing here besides that long bolt right there, which is this bolt here. Now the reason why it's still loose because I have not put these in yet. Kind of waiting on that. So we got that one in, those 2 in, and then I got a side load. That's for the tranny cooler. Tranny cooler's right there, and that was a short bolt. Okay, that one I'm going to have to do off camera. It's going to be a 2-hander, but that's where that one goes. Alright, new radiator's in. Ran our perches. That bolt's torqued. That bolt's torqued. If you notice the dirt line here, this is what I mean about aftermarket difference. It shifted it just a little bit. And I tried pushing it over, but it wasn't having it. which is fine. Okay, tranny cooler bolted in. And look at that shiny piece of hardware. It's going to be covered up with electric fan and shroud. Hey, alright. But yeah, the bumper's got to come out. Last thing got put back in is your reserve tank. I might wait on that just to make sure this radiator isn't leaking. So we might do the pressure test and all that before we go put all this back. So stay tuned. If you like this content, be sure to subscribe. Leave a comment if you have any questions. I'll do my best to answer them. Other than that, God bless. We'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.